Okay, hi, my name is Emily Palmer, and I did my internship with BN Builders in their Seattle office as a VDC engineer and BIM coordinator. Why is this not going to the next slide? Okay, these were some of the softwares I got to use during the summertime, and I'll talk more about them as I go through each project. So my first project was a small project, just a Girl Scout changing structure. This project was really cool because I got to see them build it the week after I designed it. So here you can see my 3D model in Revit, and then right next to it is the actual structure. I just put together some very basic drawing sets for this. It was a good way to get warmed back up in Revit and a good project to jump straight into as my first one. Yeah, and it was cool because I could see them using my drawings, as you can see right here, as they built the project. Okay, the next project I started on was Inglemore, and this has kind of taken the entire of the summer, so this has definitely been the most of my internship is so what we do is we self-perform our concrete and we need to have a model and drawings for that. So I was in charge of pulling the foundations, the slabs, slab edges, walls, footings, all of that from these structural drawings. And then this is what I ended up modeling in Revit. And this took me like a couple week or like a week. And then something that I learned during this was how to use the filters and then also how to make functions to get quantity takeoffs for formwork, volume, size, everything. But then why it's been such an ongoing process is because the workflow of this is I'll make a package like you can see on the right, put it in Bluebeam, and then um, the I'll have like a meeting with the superintendent and everybody, and they'll like kind of critique each package as we go on, like week by week. So here's some examples of the packages. We have a slab package here, and then some section views. Yeah, so this is what I mean by in Bluebeam, they'd go in and kind of critique my drawings. And then also the model that I made, we put into Revisto. And what you're seeing right now is the architect's model in Revisto, but you can hide it using the object tree on the left right here. So you just see the concrete model that I made. And having the model in Revisto was really good for the clash and coordination effort. So as you can see, now we're seeing the some MEP models. We've got some plumbing, utility, and electrical in here, and you can see where the concrete's gonna end up clashing with those. As we did clashes, we would find stuff like this where we've got conduits going through a retaining wall. So I would pull together drawings. Like you can see these drawings on the right, I pulled together and we'd send off RFIs, just making sure the team's on the same schedule. So this has been kind of just a process that the whole summer is putting different packages from Revit into Bluebeam, getting feedback, revamping, and then also like doing clash detection and just, I don't know, it's been a long process. The next project I was kind of working on simultaneously with Inglemore, but it's definitely not taken as much time as Inglemore, is our Maritime Skills Center. Really pretty building that's being built on the water. This triangle right here has been giving us a lot of issues because what we did for this is I was helping with our joist packages because we also self-perform framing. So what you're looking at right now is the whole building's wood. And then this is an example of what the joist package looks like. You got the dimensions giving you plywood from grid and then the joist spacing. And seems easy enough, like, oh, just get the joists all spaced properly. No, because you've got some MEP, you see some like plumbing here, mechanical here. That's what all these dots are. They're coming up through the floors, so we have to move the joist accordingly. Here's an example of some details I did for these, just showing where the glue lam and the joists meet and like corners and intersections and stuff like that. But the way we coordinate where those MEPs are coming up is in Revisto. I was doing a lot of clash automation. You can see I have some joist versus plumbing tests right here, and you got a clash right here. So those joists had to move. It was also really cool to be able to use the issue tracker to communicate with other people on the team, just be like simple fixes here. We just had to move the hangers to joist instead of plywood, but yeah, so I got really familiar with Revisto in this project and the last project. Um, Something else I worked on also during the summertime was more of a schematic design for our Grizzly warehouse. This is an existing building, but they wanted us to use Qpix, which was a new software for me, which is basically a 3D image capturing camera. You can see the 3D capture here, but what's cool about this 3D capture is it captures all the existing conditions and then it makes a point cloud. This is the point cloud in Revisto. And then I can use that point cloud to model existing conditions in Revit. So that's what this slide is. And then uh, that you can see how the model that I made in Revit matches the point cloud. So this 3D scan is really awesome to be able to create models when you don't really have anything else to go off of. But yeah, what we're doing for this building is you can see in this corner, I've added in what they want to do like a safety training center. So they needed to know like how much like height we have here, so how big we can put these scaffolding and like these wall systems. So it was just more of like a thing to pitch to the company. And then yeah, this was one of the sheets I made for it, just using this model to pull heights and placing things and dimensions and whatnot. But and then another project I used Qpix on was this core and shell building. This is the building in Revisto, but we're gonna do the interior. So they wanted me to go through, scan every floor. There was 25 floors, and the point cloud was proved really useful because even though we had this existing model, you can see when you get the point cloud laid on top that there's areas where we didn't know this pipe was running right here before, based off just the model. So as we come in and do the interior, there's existing MEPs that we need to know where they are. So that was really cool. Yeah, so another thing that was part of my internship is even though I spent a lot of time in office on all those projects throughout the summertime, I would also go do site visits. And BN's got probably like over 50 ongoing projects from small to large projects, but these two were my favorite site visits. On the right, this is a Bates fire building. I got to go see right before they poured their foundations and footings. So you can see we have the Revisto model pulled up. We're doing some QC and just making sure that all the formwork is in the right spot. And then this left picture was at our Lakeside High School project. They basically built this tiny structure, not tiny structure, but like a sample structure right next to the actual building, just so all of the subs could test materials on this before they did it on the whole building. But yeah, super grateful to BN. Loved the internship, loved getting to do all the work in the office and out of the office. Also loved all the other interns. This is a picture of everybody. Super fun experience. Loved it. Learned a lot. And yeah.